Brought to you by The Witcher Wild Hunt, available May 19th.
Poland may be a little country, but it has a booming game dev scene. Now that's obviously great for Poland, but it's also pretty good for me and you who get to play games like The Witcher. Since The Witcher 3 is sponsoring this episode, we figured we'd take a look at some other awesome games that have come from this little European nation. One pretty awesome game that you may not know comes from Poland is The Vanishing of Ethan Carter. Aside from grabbing a spot in my top 5 favorite games of last year, The Vanishing of Ethan Carter charmed audiences by attempting something really different. Polish studio The Astronauts took a murder mystery narrative and turned its players into the ultimate detective. A detective that doesn't have to shoot anyone. Gameplay involved exploring the massive and beautiful world, finding clues, working out the chronological order of events, and ultimately unraveling the larger, darker mystery of Red Creek Valley. Within their extensive gamography, Polish studio Techland has made a couple of pretty popular household name zombie games, those being Dying Light and Dead Island. Dying Light and Dead Island are massive staples in the recent resurgence of zombie games. The first-person open-world Dead Island was praised for its atmosphere and, despite its faults and bugs, the game gathered a pretty dedicated cult following. Dying Light took that formula further and impressed gamers with its free-running mechanics, co-op play, and creepy, dangerous open world, complete with day-night cycle. 11-Bit Studios released Anomaly Warzone Earth in 2011, a game which took a unique spin on real-time strategy games. Warzone Earth plays like a reversed tower defense game, and its fast-paced tactical mechanics drew a cult following who stuck with it through its steep learning curve. We nominated it for Best Strategy Game in 2011, and it won a bunch of awards for its iOS version, including the incredibly prestigious Apple Design Award. This War of Mine almost went unnoticed by a lot of people last year, probably because it came out in the busy November release period, but it had a really interesting take on war storytelling. The survival game was also developed and produced by 11-Bit Studios. It set itself apart from most other games in the genre by focusing on the civilian experience of war, as opposed to that of the soldiers. The PC strategy game lets the player control multiple characters taking shelter in an abandoned house, who require constant health, hunger, and mood level management to stay alive. During the night, the player needs to scavenge dangerous nearby areas for materials and supplies, while in the day they'll have to craft tools and make sure survivors are rested, sane, and healthy, by making food, bartering with strangers, and upgrading the shelter. Polish studio People Can Fly kicked off their resume with the Painkiller series, but these days they're probably better known for the over-the-top FPS Bulletstorm and Gears of War Judgment. These two games were hugely successful for People Can Fly, who are now known as Epic Games Poland. 2011's Bulletstorm impressed gamers by having a dark sense of humor and proving it was happy to get a little weird by enabling creative and often ridiculous kills by introducing an energy whip weapon and letting you kick everything. Gears of War has a reputation that needs little explanation. Its most recent installment, Judgment, did a pretty good job of impressing gamers who were already invested in the series, by continuing with its tradition of tight combat and a story that dove deeper into the Gears lore, following Damon Baird and Cole Train. Let me know down in the comments if you were surprised by the origin of any of those titles and which one is your favorite. I'll catch you again next week.